Going on, guys? We're gonna get this out, get this started here, get this going. Just need to share this out to my partner, and we're gonna be rolling. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, fantastic morning. We do this every Wednesday, the NHA podcast. And we got some fun stuff to get into. Listen, when there's not football, we kind of have to stretch this out, but we will see what's going on, baby. We'll see what's going on. All right, here we go. By the way, you guys like the jersey? Is it fresh or what? Is it fresh or what? I'm just doing this to have fun. Maybe I should have worn the Celtics one since they won last night. But I'm wearing the Magic Johnson. The Magic Johnson. The Magic Johnson. All right, here we go. Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your boy, Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony, here, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Hope you all are having a fantastic week, as always, a fantastic morning. We got a jam-packed show for you today, regarding Iowa sports, obviously. We're going to dive into Iowa news. There's a lot going on. We got Iowa track and field doing what they do, which is kind of surprising, actually. Iowa baseball and all of that. And then we're going to have some fun, ranking the top 10, or not the top 10, ranking the Big Ten teams as far as prestige, how me and my partner see it. And then we're going to be examining an article that somebody wrote about the Iowa Hawkeyes, just to give you guys a baseline of where me and my partner usually are at when it comes to Iowa Hawkeye sports. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce my partner, Dean. Dean, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic.
It's good to hear from you. I like the background. That's honestly, that's a really nice. It is. It's a really. I always think that the background. When I was growing up, at my, in my house, we didn't have a lot of family photos. We had some, but I would go to some people's houses and they would, their entire house would be, just decorated with family photos. And I always thought that, was a cool thing. I certainly understand the other side of it where, you just get some, cool stuff to put up and all of that. And then also Dean's got a fresh Iowa t-shirt right now. What do you think about the jersey, Dean? Tell me what you think of the jersey. And for those of you guys that are listening on the podcast, I'm wearing an LA Lakers Magic Johnson real deal jersey. I forget what you actually call these jerseys, but it's, you know what I'm talking about, Dean? The actual jerseys with the actual
Authentic.
Authentic. Thank you. That's it. By the way, can you hear me? Can you check to see if you hear me on the video side of this? See if you can hear me on your end. But also, and folks, we're going to be getting into this Iowa stuff. I'm excited about looking at this article because I really do think that we can. I really think it's going to give a foundation for not only how I think that most fans see the Hawkeyes, but how me and Dean see the Iowa Hawkeyes. Dean, do you watch Star Trek?
I haven't watched Star Trek since it was practically original.
Wow. Okay. I watch Star Trek, ladies and gentlemen. I do. Growing up, I did not. Growing up, I really only played. I was very active growing up. And then, as I've gotten older, I've expanded my horizons, and Star Trek is definitely a very nice. It's a very nice American gift that is offered to all of us. But I got to say, folks, the new Star Trek, and I haven't even watched an actual episode yet, so maybe this is not fair, but hopefully you guys can comment. But the new Star Trek sucks. It's terrible. And it's crazy because, Star Trek, what makes Star Trek so good is that they are in a day and age where humanity has progressed so much to where ideas like identity politics and all of that stuff isn't even thought about because they're past it. They're over it. And now in today's Star Trek, our popular culture today is inserted into the Star Trek, and it sucks. It's terrible. And then I don't know if you've seen the new Star Wars. I think I've only seen one of them. The stories are just bland. They're boring. It's just a bunch of action thrown at your eyes, and it's just, I don't know. It's boring. Do you watch Star Wars, Dean, or anything like that?
I've seen all the Star Wars movies and all
Wow,
of
so
them.
you're a Star Trek guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, you're a Star Wars guy. Okay, what did you
Yeah.
think of Star Wars? I'm curious on that.
Uh, Honestly, the later ones were kind of disappointing. The one that concluded the series, where Luke Skywalker came back as a ghost. I probably shouldn't tell people in case they haven't seen that one yet. Was disappointed.
Spoilers alert! Spoilers alert! Here we're dropping. So there you go.
Yeah,
No big deal.
But the very last one in the series, I was really very disappointed in. It just didn't have the punch or the impact of the original 3 movies.
Yeah, it's it's just, it's the stories are very they're very current. I don't know how to explain it besides that. They just don't resonate. They don't hit home. And then, the reality is movie studios, by just stamping a name like, Superman or Batman, they can make millions of dollars, and they don't even have to worry about the show being terrible or the movie being terrible. But, we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just curious on this, and I wanted to ask my partner what he thought, and I'm curious what you guys think too. All right, Dean. First and foremost, I want to get to some Iowa news right off the bat. Okay. Number one, CJ Frederick. And we're just going to kind of rapid fire here. Folks, I've said that I was that I was in contact with CJ's uncle, and I was. I don't know if I'm going to pursue that. We'll see, on that. However, on the stuff that is coming out, and the latest stuff that has come out is CJ saying that, in a nutshell, he wanted a fresh scene. He had done his time at Iowa, and he wanted a fresh scene. And I get that. That makes some sense. Okay. I don't totally agree with it, but it makes some sense. But Dean, I got to tell you, and he said that Kentucky did not interfere with him. And that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. But, I got to say, Dean, for me, this just screams of the current new world that we are in when it comes to sports, with the transfer portal, with the idea of competing when, I'll get to the competing thing. I want to ask you a question about competition in a second, Dean. But really, for me, this is just CJ getting a bunch of airtime. Really, that's just what it seems like to me. A bunch of airtime that he hasn't really earned. It's not like he was one of Iowa's top 2 players. A lot of times he wasn't even Iowa's top 3. And so, he's getting a lot of airtime, and to me, it's coming off as, current, real world, 20, 21-year-old kids who have grown up with social media and all of that stuff and love the shine. What do you think, Dean?
Okay. Honestly, I think most of it, what he said in that interview was bullcrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to get that kind of out of the way. But he did say in that interview that he wanted to go somewhere where he could win. Is that telling what he thinks about this year's Iowa Hawkeye team coming up? Maybe. He may think they can't win, even with them on the floor.
Well, honestly, that tells me more about him than it does about Iowa, because what that tells me about CJ is he is not confident enough in his game to say, okay, y'all, get on my back. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I think. I don't know what to think at this point, but he's no longer a Hawkeye, and it's time to move on. And I'm going to tell you right now, when we do future shooting guards, the best Iowa's ever had, he won't be on my list because he didn't finish his career as a Hawkeye.
Yeah, I am in complete agree. Well, sorry, folks, I got to change this up. I am in complete agreement about that. Well, he never would have been on my top shooting guard thing. And, truth be told, I'm not even mad that he left. I don't care anymore. I didn't even care that much when it happened, because, for me, when it comes to hoops, your team is as good as your best player. And I knew that CJ was not going to be Iowa's best player next year, one way or another. He just wasn't. And then, but for me, just stepping back, this is just like, it's just a bunch of attention, and Iowa fans are feeding into it, yeah, Dean, I agree. It's complete bull jive. It's bull turkey what he said about wanting to play, because Kentucky was a losing team last year. They weren't even a winning team. So that's just garbage. And like I said, it tells me more about Frederick than it does about what he thinks about the Iowa program. So yeah, and listen, folks, my take has been, and it still is, it doesn't bother me that much. I think that Iowa should be able to, they should be able to pick up his slack, a 3-and-D type guy, because that's what he was. I think Iowa fans, we elevated him more than what he actually was, but realistically, he was a 3-and-D guy. And then, I've said that him going to Kentucky, it will not work like he thinks it will. With Kentucky winning or losing, I actually think Kentucky's on the decline. I don't know if he's going to get the PT that he thinks. And so, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a victory. And I think that a lot of this decision was made based off of, wanting to get some shine. And that's kind of sad to me, So, yeah. All right, let's move past the CJ Frederick. Caitlin Clark, Dean. Caitlin Clark gets named to the U.S. Basketball team. I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, let's clarify. It's the USA under 19 team. It's not the USA team that's going to compete in the Olympics.
Thank you for that. Dean is correct. It's not the U.S. Women's Olympic team, although, the men's team always takes one guy from college, and actually the women's team has done that too. I remember they took Brianna Stewart when she was still in college. So, who knows? Maybe Caitlin is that good, but it is the under 19. And I think it's just awesome. I think representing your country is the ultimate, that is the ultimate achievement. It is awesome. Wherever you line up, politically, it representing your country one way or another is the ultimate, just amazing thing. And, from an Iowa perspective, it's awesome, and it looks like Iowa women's basketball is really on the up and up, Dean, so, and that's pretty cool.
Has the Iowa women program gotten to the point now where they just reload and don't have to rebuild anymore? Because I mean, they have been relevant for a while, and this year, what was supposed to be a rebuilding year and not be relevant, they make the Sweet 16. They exceeded expectations where the men were supposed to make the Sweet 16 or Final 8, and look what happened.
Here, hold on, Dean. I am getting some second round. On your end, is the video sound? Well, no, I think it's on my end. I apologize on that. The basketball team came up way short. In fairness, the men's side is well, I'd probably get in trouble if I say this, so I'm not going to say it. But Iowa, no matter how you slice it, Iowa's men's basketball team came up short. The women did not for a second year in a row. In fact, they vastly overachieved. But specifically on Caitlin Clark, it's awesome. And quite frankly, Dean, I think for Caitlin, there is a huge room for her to make something outside of basketball, because she's for all intents and purposes, pretty good looking. She's a good basketball player, and she has a great personality. If I was as good as Caitlin, I would really be thinking about that. And then you're going to go represent your country in the U.S. I think there's a big opportunity to maybe jump into some avenues or roles that otherwise would not be there. What do you think? Am I off there, Dean?
No, you're not. I've heard several interviews that Caitlin Clark has done, when it was just like on a podcast or something, not after a game. This woman is very intelligent. She knows her stuff. And you're right. She has a little funny side to her a little bit, and she's got a little bit of personality. This woman is going to go far after her WNBA career is over. She is going to get onto some company or something, and she's just going to take over the world.
Listen, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I really do. You hit it. You hit all the points there, Dean. All right, moving on quickly here because I want to get to the article. Just real quick, Iowa baseball lost to Illinois. They lost the series. It kind of seemed like it was an overreaction a little bit to me. I think Iowa is squarely in the NCAA tournament right now. Losing to Illinois sucked, but they're in. As long as they win the last two series, they should be okay. And, it sucks that they won't have a chance to win the Big Ten regular season, but they have a chance, to make the NCAA tournament, which is good. What were your thoughts on the loss?
I don't know if it hurt them or not because they've got 6 more games, 3 against Michigan State and 3 against, I think, Northwestern, all bottom tier teams. And so if they could win all 6, that should put them in the NCAA. I think what they really wanted was a sweep or a series win against Illinois to kind of like make it, kind of like solidify. So, they're
solidified. Yeah, that would have solidified them, no doubt. It's, it sucks that they lost, but yeah, I agree with you that they're in. And last thing before we get to the article here, Dean, I don't even think I'll say this when we move on here, but the men's track and field team won the outdoor championship, which is pretty amazing, Dean. Iowa men's track and field team has won the Big Ten outdoor championship as well as winning the indoor championship. Thoughts?
2nd year in a row. Well, okay. I can't say second year in a row, but second time in a row that they've played because they didn't run last year, but you know what I mean. They won it in 2019 too.
Yeah, I gotta say, Dean, Gary Barta, I gotta give him a lot of credit because you know, he, the one, 10 years ago, the one thing that I would have said is that Iowa had not taken advantage of their solid football team and basketball for that matter. And now they have, now it's pretty good, Dean. What's going on now? So I'm excited there. Congratulations to them. What does that make it, Dean? That's track and field, wrestling, women's soccer won the Big Ten tournament. Women's basketball won the Big Ten tournament. Trying to think what else.
I think the field hockey team won the Big Ten.
Right. Field hockey. And so that's impressive, Dean. No matter how you slice it, that is very, very, very impressive. And yeah, go ahead.
Let's not leave the softball team out, even though they were sure that they had done enough to make the NCAA tournament. They got left out, but they finished the season very well. They had a great season, and why they got left out is a mystery to everybody. But yeah, we don't want to overlook them because they had a very successful season.
So wait, hold on. I'm sorry. What happened with the women's softball team? They had a good season, but didn't make the NCAA tournament.
That is true. They picked the NCAA tournament team the other night, and Iowa softball got left out, and every expert in the world thought Iowa was in. They'd done enough. They just had a fantastic season. They had a couple of great pitchers, and I will tell you, they had this pitcher on the team named Lauren Shaw. She is hilarious. When she strikes somebody out, she does this little move looks to the outfield and does a little pose every time. And I just love the little personality that she brought with the team because I've watched a few of their games. But yeah, they had a great season, and it's just too bad that they didn't make the tournament. But that was out of their hands.
Yeah, that sucks. It sounds like it wasn't in their hands. Listen, folks, as a whole, I am just happy how solid Iowa's just program as a whole has been. I think it's incredible. It sucks that they didn't make the NCAA tournament, but the truth is, Dean, they were doing, 5 years ago, they were doing absolutely terrible. So, to be here isn't so bad. So, but yeah, it sucks that they weren't in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving on here to ranking our prestige in the Big Ten when it comes to football. And what gave me this idea is looking at by the way, NCAA football 21 is coming back, and that's a big deal. It's a very popular game for all intents and purposes, very popular. And I don't know if I'll be getting it, but it's going to be an exciting game. I did play NCAA 2014, Dean. I did play that.
Do you know that? Do you still have that? Because you can update it. You can update it to right now.
Yes, I do. But it's a whole thing of getting the game out, and But yes, you're right. I could do that. And the last person. This just shows you how much time flies by. The last person that was on the cover was Denard Robinson. And I don't even know I think maybe he's a running back in the NFL right now. He might be, I'm not completely certain. That's pretty cool, don't you think? That just shows how much different college football is than the NFL, because in the NFL, or excuse me, you can have a guy like Denard Robinson who goes to college football, is a solid quarterback. And then just like Tim Tebow, there's a position change. And, so by the way, since we just came across Tim Tebow, and I don't even know that I care that much on this. And I'm curious what you think, Dane, but I'll just give my 2 cents on it. I think that football is the ultimate meritocracy, truthfully. And I think that it is one of the best systems in the world because, the only thing you're judged on is what you can bring to the team. And what you can bring to a team is judged in many different ways. And that's not what I'm judging here. But, on Tim Tebow, listen, he's been a dang good football player. And, what he can bring to the Jacksonville Jaguars, if Urban Meyer thinks that it's enough, then it's enough. That's all there is to it. There's been plenty of guys who have been on rosters, both in the NBA and the NFL, who are, for example, Jared Dudley. And by the way, I met Jared Dudley at a basketball camp in 7th grade. Great guy. Jared Dudley sucks. He's terrible. Obviously, in the realm of basketball, he's very good, obviously. But, just for the NBA, not super good, super talented. And, that's an example. So I don't have an issue with the Tim Tebow thing. Real quick, before I turn it over to you, Dean, I forgot to do this. Go to 247hawkeye.com. The best place to find me and Dean is on Facebook, Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony, and then Dean Freen on Facebook. And then we have a YouTube channel, Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony. And what else do we have? Yeah, that's it. Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony on YouTube. And then the website, 247hawkeye.com. And if you want to support us, there will be a PayPal link in the description. What do you think, Dean?
Okay. He's going to switch over to tight end, I hear.
Yes.
So, I don't know. Golly, he's been out of the game for so long. Can he still do it?
I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know one way or another to make a strong opinion on it, to the point where I'm like, well, he can, therefore he should be on the team, or he can't, therefore he should not be on the team. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm sure that Urban,
he brings other things to the team that are so strong that it's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Urban Meyer wouldn't have brought him on if he didn't run him through some, tryouts and tests and stuff, and thought he could handle it because, Urban Meyer, he's a winner. He likes to win where he goes. And so he's not bringing on people just to, show off, or however you want to put it. So, yeah. But we should ask Paul, our resident Jaguars fan, what he thinks of this latest. I mean, he's already getting CJ.
I'm actually excited about CJ. I think that, it's a tough situation, no doubt. I don't think, he will get a ton of time to play, but I think he'll have some, I think he'll have a chance at the very least. I just wanted to say my 2 cents on that. I think, people are just getting too much in an uproar about stuff that does not have anything to do with them. And, at the end of the day, the Jaguars will only win based off of their, what goes on in their building. So anyways, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an article that wasn't, necessarily that big of an article that was written. I decided that it was a good barometer of, and actually, Dean, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this first or ranking the Big Ten programs by prestige, but we're going to do this first, the article. Okay. Folks, I think that this is a great example of how a good amount, maybe not the majority, but a good amount of Iowa Hawkeye fans, or just fans in general, see their program. And, I'm going to try and not read the whole thing. But this is a good example of how me and Dean see the program and really what we think. All right, Dean. So I'm going to get into it here. All right. And this is by Black Heart Gold Pants. And the guy who wrote it, his name is Real Ed Debevich. I don't know. That doesn't sound like his actual name. That's his Twitter handle. All right. Like many of you, I've spent way too much time reading and reacting to way too many opinions about Kirk Ferentz and his massive wallet of late. As an alum of the university and as a passionate fan of the Iowa football program, it has been yet another palm to head spring/summer offseason storyline that's put our favorite program in the MSM mainstream media's crosshairs for the absolute wrong reasons. Right off the bat, I disagree with his whole thing. Right off the bat, Dean, I don't think that Iowa has been in the crosshair. They were in the crosshairs last year, for sure. Mm-hmm. But there was only two places that picked up the thing on the on the former players trying to grab some money from the University of Iowa. There was only two places that picked that up, and one of them was ESPN, for what it's worth, whatever you feel on that. And I don't really think Josiah Neiman was in there, but other than that, Dean, I don't really see Iowa in the crosshairs. How do you see it?
Not right now, because nobody's reporting the fact that the judge went and threw out most of the lawsuit, threw most of it out. I haven't heard that on Big Ten or ESPN, but some of the local media guys are, of course, wrote it. But other than that, I haven't seen ESPN come in and say, hey, things aren't as bad at Iowa as we thought. The judge threw out a whole mess of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. They did. The big story is how much they threw out. That's the big story. Mm-hmm. So anyways, right off the bat, I disagree with what his premise is. If it's not nepotism, it's winning / graduating / doing it right. If it's not allegations of racism inside the weight room and a culture and a culture that is not inclusive to all players, it's an exodus of recruits because of old school rules about campus visits. If it's not about Rob Doe, I don't know who Rob Doe is. RHABDO. I don't know who that is. Yeah.
Let me explain. That was about 10 years ago when that was the disease or the sickness that befell about 20 football players on a summer off-season program. So, and several of them sued the school and left. I think I can't remember everything about it. And maybe our listeners, after they hear this or watch it, will comment on it. But I think only one of those players actually stuck it out at Iowa after it was all said and done. And that had a lot to do with Boyle too, by the way. Not Boyle.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I don't remember the story. I'll be honest. I don't remember the story. But I'll take your word for it, Dean. The guys who sued the school just kind of sound like a bunch of wusses, but no, I'm joking. I don't know. I don't know the story. So
yeah, they were actually hospitalized and very sick. It came from overweight, doing too much.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and it's possible. That doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, folks, let me give you just a little snippet. And before I get into more of this, I want to do a side tangent. I want to ask you a question, Dean. You know how people say, or excuse me, not people, players, how they say they love the competition. Okay. When I hear that, all I think about are these useless platitudes that in today's game, players use, and the only two sports where there actually is competition, actual real competition, would be football and MMA and water polo. Okay. Basketball is more of a game at this point than an actual competition, in my opinion. It's still somewhat a competition, No, it's more of a game, and that's my whole point. What do you think? Am I overthinking that?
I think you're overthinking it, but I don't know what you mean by competition versus a game because you
Right.
know they're out
I'll
there on the
explain it.
floor. The basketball team is out there competing. You know, the
Okay.
baseball team is out there competing.
Fair enough. Well, the way I would see it is they're playing. They're playing the game. Competing to me is where your body is on the line. Your literally your health is on the line. It's something that it's so difficult to play to where you have to have an internal toughness to play it. And it's kind of like, back in the olden days, if you were to have a sword fight with somebody, you'd be competing for your life. I don't really think about that in basketball, but folks, I'm overthinking this. I know, but I still think what I'm saying right now. Anyways, back to this. Okay. I don't know about the rhabdo. I don't know about Kirk's neighborhood problems. See, when you start to get into that stuff, I think you're just getting way too much into the life of Iowa sports, quite frankly. And listen,
Do you want to
folks,
know about his
yeah.
neighborhood problems? I can.
No,
tell
I
you.
don't. I don't give a gosh darn.
All right.
Well,
fair enough.
well,
Fair
no,
enough.
if you think it'll be good for this to remind people, then go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Why not?
He put up some. He wanted to put up some trees for a little bit of privacy. He shares a driveway with several other neighbors, and they had some rules about trees and fences and stuff. And I think he wanted a little more privacy, so they put up some trees and stuff. And he had a big old dog fight with his neighbors for a while over it, but he won.
You know what's crazy to me is that Kirk Ferentz in the state of Iowa is the top dog. He's the top dog, quite frankly. And you're a neighbor and you're deciding to argue with the Kirk Ferentz? Are you kidding me? No, I'm joking. Listen, at the end of the day, everybody has this, is entitled to what they're entitled to. I don't think I would argue with the Kirk Ferentz. I think I just let it go and come to a compromise. Maybe Kirk Ferentz's wife is getting on his case and he has to deal with some stuff. I haven't been married. I don't know. But that's it. What a goofy story. Anyways, the exodus on recruits. And by the way, he is making this seem like Iowa's offseason is just riddled with this, and this. The reality is over 20 years, Iowa has had they've had one or two examples of maybe nepotism, maybe, what's his name? The director, Tyler Barnes. Quite frankly, he's done a good job since he's come in. I believe he's married to Kirk Ferentz's daughter. Am I right about that, Dean? Daughter?
Somebody's married to his daughter, but I don't know which one.
Who's married to the daughter?
It was a former player, but I don't know who.
I'm gonna look it up here.
Okay.
But outside of that, I have no clue. And I do think Tyler Barnes is the example. And the truth of the matter is he's done a good job since he's been at Iowa. Do you think so, Dean? Do you think Tyler Barnes, director of recruiting, has done a good job or what?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt that the recruiting has picked up, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit later, but recruiting, he's done a phenomenal job. The recruiting has improved over the years, but that's not just him. That's the whole staff doing a better job of finding the people they want. They're finally finding some talent that fits the culture at Iowa or fits the Iowa way.
Right. And listen, my master's degree is in industrial organizational psychology, which a lot of people go into HR with that degree, or some interactive department where you get to work and train people that you work with. Anyways, that example is not pure nepotism, in my opinion, because pure nepotism would be a hire that is directly below you, and then it's more like your actual blood, not the husband of your blood, even though that is still somewhat. But I don't really have a problem with it, Dean. I really don't. And I think Brian Ferentz would be an example of nepotism. I don't really have an issue with it. I guess you could call it nepotism. I guess you could in the strictest sense. But when it comes to football teams, you have to be close and you have to be tight-knit. And it's not as though Brian Ferentz, in some regards, you would argue that Brian Ferentz has had a bigger target on his back since he is related to Kirk Ferentz. I don't know. I don't really see an issue with it. Anyways, I'm gonna pick this up a little bit with this guy.
Okay.
The thing I want to go to, though, he says it's an exodus of recruits. That only happened one time, Dean. That only happened one time where running back Benjamin and one or two other guys from Texas, a wide receiver from Texas, his name was Bo something. I think the only two guys from Texas that decided to stick with Iowa were Matt Hankins and Peyton Mansell. The other Texas guys moved on. That happened one time, and Kirk Ferentz in Iowa learned from it. Pretty much I'll sum it up here. The rule for Iowa recruiting was if you commit to Iowa, you have to be so sure that you don't go and visit anywhere else. And you know what? I get that. I understand that policy. I do. Because in reality, when you see these recruits that say they're 1,000% committed, they're lying. They're lying. Because if you're 1,000% committed, then you would close your recruitment. And some guys do, but Dean, a lot of guys don't. They're still, a lot of guys, you'll see that they put out a top 8, but then they'll say recruitment still wide open. What does that even mean? How do you have a top 8 if your recruitment is still wide open? Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Jerry Seinfeld here. It's bad. Anyways, I don't think that's a big deal. And I want to get to this part because this is a big part. Yet, despite all of it, Iowa fans continue to band together quickly and cradle the football program higher than they were before. As these storylines pile up and more MSN opinions hit our Twitter threads, who cares about Twitter, dude? Gosh, seriously. We as a collective become the tide that lifts the boat. After all, what does Colin Cowherd or Vanessa Miller know about the Iowa program that we don't know already know ourselves? Exactly, dude. They don't know Iowa like we do. So you should not care what Colin Cowherd says about the Hawkeyes, dude. You just made your point for me. Anyways, I want to get to where he talks about Kirk Ferentz. But the issue with the fan base becoming program protectors is that we end up getting way too close and we lose the forest. We end up losing the forest through the trees. I've never heard that before.
Are you serious? That's your first time?
Yeah, it's the first time. So
I grew up with that saying.
I like that saying, though. Think of all the headlines we've seen come out about this program the last decade. Honestly, he's making way too much of that. And quite frankly, it's not even like it's national, Dean. The only time Iowa's been in the national news has been with Colin Cowherd, and that was more because the Iowa fans made a big deal to Colin. And then the allegations. And again, he's treating the allegations like they're true, like they were damning against the Iowa program. They still remain allegations, okay? And if they do get reported to be true, I will treat them as such. But currently, they are allegations, and he's treating them like they're 100% true. Anyways, I hate that I even have to ask myself this question, but shouldn't a coach that has had as much press as Kirk Ferentz has had since 2010, 2011 be better than a 79-46 overall record, 46-30 conference record, and 3-5 bowl game record with one division title? What do you think on that, Dean?
I absolutely agree.
Woo!
Boom. Boom. We got to be more than contenders. We can't settle for second and third place, which it seems like we've settled for over the years. With an occasional, I think we've had in this modern era, we've had one division title. One division title. I don't know how we did this without 2009 and 2015 and 2002, how we all did that, but without divisional titles, but we did. So,
yeah. So you agree with what he just said, Andy?
Yep, I do. I fully agree. I'm on board that we need better record. We need more wins. And
well, listen, folks, I'll say this. Okay. There is a sliver of truth to what he said. How he is qualifying it by saying that Iowa is in the news like Florida under Urban Meyer, or, FSU with, Davos, or not Dabo. Who was the Florida State coach? And his wife slept with the person. He got cut by the personal trainer for the Florida State, had sex with his wife, and that's why Jimbo Fisher, that's why he moved to Texas A&M. Anyways, Dean, I don't think I was inappropriate there, by the way. I don't think you would bleep those words anyways. But I don't think Iowa is in the news that much, quite frankly. There's the occasional arrest, and if you look at 20 plus years, I think Iowa is a pretty solid program. Have they been in the news? Absolutely. Also, he's using allegations, and again, they're allegations. They have not been proven to be true or false. They're allegations. As for the record, 79-46, and he's not counting 2009 season, which was spectacular, is not a bad record. And I was talking to Dean last night about this. Folks, Iowa fans, let me just give it to you straight right now. Iowa, if all things were equal, and I was a coach coming into the Big Ten, and I were to take any job and then rank how hard it was to win at each place, Iowa would probably be the toughest place to win in the Big Ten. And I know a lot of you guys are like, huh? What? I'm telling you, that's the truth. Number one, if you look at Rutgers and you look at, Rutgers doesn't have Iowa State to compete with. Plus, the talent over in New Jersey is better than it is in Iowa. Folks, and we're going to talk about this when we get to the recruiting part. Iowa, on average, has, I would say, 5 guys that are good enough to play at Iowa each year, on average, sometimes more, sometimes less. And on average, about 7 guys who are good enough to play Power 5. Okay. Schools like UCLA, USC, Arizona State, for that matter, half of their recruiting class each year comes from right in their state or next door. Wisconsin, for example, they're in a state that is about the same talent as Iowa. They don't have to compete against an Iowa State for their recruits. And then I know some of y'all are going to get mad at me for saying this, but the state of Iowa, okay, while it has a lot of charm, and there's a lot of things about the state of Iowa that are amazing, and I'm not poo-pooing the state of Iowa. I'm not. But outside of the Midwest, it's not as though a majority of the country is like, oh yeah, let me go to Iowa. Let me check out Iowa. That's just not happening. It's not. Iowa City is great. It's a great party university. But again, it's not as though outside of the Midwest, people are like, okay, I got to check out the state of Iowa. So again, what this guy is failing to understand, and even Dean for that matter, is that Iowa is probably the toughest place to win in the Big Ten. What do you think on that, Dean, on what I just said?
You make a good case for your you do make a good case on being tough to win there. It is tough to win at Iowa. But like I told you last night, Wisconsin can do it, so why can't Iowa?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. There just needs to be a mindset change that they're going to go out and win the West every year. You tell me that Wisconsin doesn't believe that they're the best team in the Big Ten every year, or at least the Big Ten best team in the Big West every year.
What you're saying, Dean, is that you agree with what I'm saying, but at the same time, with where Iowa is currently with Kirk Ferentz and the talent that they have, the expectations should be higher. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I do. It's high time that Iowa, in the next 5 years, makes it to, at minimum, one Big Ten title game, preferably 2 at minimum.
Yeah. Because I mean, look at the NFL picks. Every year we're flooding the NFL with players.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, we're quality development program. It takes these guys a couple of years to get their feet and get NFL caliber, but still, there's guys behind them that are doing the same thing, getting themselves ready to start for Iowa, become NFL picks, and go on to the thing. And why, if we're boasting that much NFL talent, why the heck can't Iowa win more games? And actually compete. I mean, really compete with Wisconsin for a Big West title every year. And the sad thing about it is, and I think this article will come up on it soon when you finish it, that Northwestern has more Big Ten West titles than Iowa does. Does that hurt when you think about that? That hurts.
Dean, what you're saying is well articulated and pretty accurate. It does suck that Northwestern has more Big Ten title appearances than Iowa. And you could argue, well, Northwestern just kind of slipped into it. Okay, maybe they still made it, so that's true. That's an excellent point. Now Northwestern has had down years that Iowa has not.
Right.
But it's a great point. And so here's what he goes on to say. I don't mean to be such a negative Ned on Tuesday morning, but aren't we all just a little tired of being the shield for a program that has less Big Ten West titles than Northwestern and the same amount as Nebraska? What is all the money for the coaching staff and Robdo and racial allegations and firings and nepotism and doing it right and NFL draft picks and tight end proclamations and top-notch facilities all really for if we continuously fall short to Wisconsin and Northwestern, let alone the blue bloods across from us in the Big Ten?
No, wait a minute. Stop right there. Stop right there. It says, let alone the other blue bloods across the Big Ten. So when did Wisconsin and Northwestern become blue bloods?
Listen, this is why I disagree with guys like this, because on one hand, he says he names blue bloods, but he does not consider Iowa blue blood. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he holds Iowa to blue blood standards. Okay.
Right.
It has to be one or the other. It can't be both. It can't. So, but he makes a good point. When you stack up those things and, tight end, whatever, that's not even a big deal. The doing it right, that's just a slogan, okay? But when you stack it up like he did, I can kind of see what he's saying. More so what I see is the money. Now, Dean, I've said this many a times, which is in college football, because the money is so solid, programs cannot afford to not pay their coaches. Clay Travis he says, you have to use the dump truck method. Dump a bunch of money into the lap and get the coach you want. And I agree wholeheartedly with that, because the money that you pay for your coach, you will get back if you start winning. And it's all worth it. By trying to save $1 here and $1 there, you end up losing totally and completely. You end up losing your coach. You end up losing games, lose your program. Iowa State, they paid Matt Campbell. The reason Kirk Ferentz hasn't left Iowa, quite frankly, is because Iowa has taken care of him. And I'm okay with that. Now, I do think that we should raise our standards because of, and I said this to you last night, Dean, that Iowa is a victim of their own success in a way. The only thing I would say about the money is maybe that money could go towards recruiting, some of it. Or by looking at that money, I'm going to raise my standards to that level. I don't know this, Dean, but a couple of years ago, what Kirk Ferentz was making was like top 10, maybe even top 5 in the country. Now I'm not sure that that's the case. Do you know what?
I don't, but I think even in the Big Ten, he's in the middle of the pack now.
Yeah, let's see here. Top 25 coach salaries. Let's take a look-see here. But yeah, folks.
Man, you're going to have to teach me how to do this.
Isn't it sweet? Yeah, it's sweet. Yeah, I'll let you know, Dean. It's, yeah, pretty easy. All right, so this is from 2020. And you know what, Iowa fans, you want a perfect example of what this guy is actually arguing? Nebraska football and Michigan football. Okay, Iowa at the very least is still winning football games. Okay, Rick Barnes, Kirk Ferentz is 23rd at $4.8 million. That's not bad at all, Dean. I'll take that any day of the week, any day. Scott Frost is making more than Kirk Ferentz, and he's only been coaching for 5 seasons, and 3 of them have been losing seasons.
Pat Gerald even makes more than Iowa coach does.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. Wow. Let's keep looking at this. James Frankie, 5.6 million. Ryan Day, 6 million. Jeff Brom, 6.6 million. I think the expectations, and you remember this, Dean, when Jeff Brom came to Purdue, the expectations rose big time. And he has not met those expectations one bit. Scott Frost hasn't. Jeff Brom hasn't. The only coach that has a little bit has been Michigan's coach. What are you going to say?
Oh, no, it's just amazing that that the Purdue coach is making more money than the Ohio State coach. And Ohio State coach is, I'd go to my bosses and go, look, he's not producing, and look how much he's making. I'm producing. I got you in the national title game last year. Where's my dough?
And listen, the past 5 years, Iowa has done phenomenal, quite frankly. They are top 15 in the country in winning percentage since the 2015 season. Mike Krzyzewski, 7.2 million. So obviously, because this is basketball and football, Dean.
Yeah, I see that combined.
Yeah. Here's Jimbo Fisher, the guy who left FSU after, the situation with the divorced wife. Jim Harbaugh, 8 million. I wonder where McCaffrey would rank. That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah,
8.1 million from Calipari.
Yeah. I believe McCaffrey's making 2 or 3 million a year,
Yeah.
so he'd be
Yeah.
down the line.
Yeah, he'll be top 50 probably
Mhm.
top 35 in basketball. Nick Saban 9.1, Dabo Sweeney 9.3. Folks, good football coaches are worth that money. They
Yeah.
are.
Are you surprised at how much money Harbaugh's making? And even though he's had some winning seasons, that he's not really produced what what Michigan paid him to do. That's to win Big Ten East titles,
Yeah.
national titles, and beat Ohio State, none of which he has done yet.
No, I'm not surprised, because if you remember, Dean, he was as high a value coach on the market that that you can find. And then, and he has produced. We'll see if he can get it back on track with Michigan. Has he fully met expectations? No, but no, I am not surprised by the money. It is a little, listen, it is surprising that Ryan Day makes less than Jim Harbaugh. That is somewhat surprising considering how dominant Ohio State has been. So, that part is no doubt interesting. By the way, Dean, have you seen and we are at an hour. Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, I know.
catch
We've
that.
just been having a great time talking, honestly. Folks,
Oh, yeah, we are at 1 hour.
this is it. This is why I love having Dean as my partner. Having the ability to short talk with somebody is really awesome. Don't you agree, Dean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Doing it by yourself is not. I've tried it by myself. I know that you're used to doing it by yourself
Yeah.
a lot. And I don't like doing it by myself because, you run out of things and it goes too quick sometimes.
Yeah. And you're just talking out loud. You're just talking to yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can do it by my lonesome, but it is not as fun. All right. Let's finish this off here. He goes on to say, again, I'm just asking because I'm curious. Oh, this is I forgot what I was going to ask you. I'll remember here in a second. Again, I'm just asking because I'm curious. Perhaps this is just the nature of growing up in Chicago versus Iowa, and I'll never fully understand. I don't know what you're saying there, dude, because quite frankly, Chicago doesn't have much of winning success in years. So I don't know what you're saying there, dude. Because I'm a Chicago Bears fan. They suck. Maybe they'll be good. And the Cubs suck. So, I don't know what you're saying there, dude.
Yeah, but the White Sox are leading their division.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Apparently, this is what my mom has said. I don't know if this is true, though. My great grandfather played for the White Sox. Apparently, I don't know. What who knows? Dude? Who knows, Dean? He goes on to say, but I can't be the only one that is having a very hard time knowing that a coach with this many yikes, that's what he puts in quotation marks, yikes, including headlines, and that in capitals amount of money in his pocket over this, capitalized this, many years as head coach cannot bring his team over the Big Ten West hump more consistently. Listen, again, Kirk Ferentz should, in the next year or two, they should make the Big Ten West title or the Big Ten title. Great. But what you're failing to understand, dude, is that Iowa is not, unfortunately, it is not this metropolis that you are making it seem like. That any coach can just come to Iowa and just start winning. That is not the case, dude. It's not the case. People have a hard enough time going to Texas and winning, going to UCLA and winning, USC, Florida State. Shall I go on? Anyways, let's finish this off. Shouldn't we be more upset about this? I know that many will tell me that it's Iowa in quotations. But the money this program brings in, the NFL talent it spits out, which is the talent it spits out is because of Kirk Ferentz, and the shine it gets inside the Big Ten. I don't think Iowa gets a ton of shine. I think they get some, but not a ton. Honestly, the top teams that get the shine are Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State. The NFL talent spits out and the shine it gets inside the Big Ten should be enough to be on par with Northwestern at least. I'm not asking to be Alabama or Clemson or Oklahoma. Kind of yar, dude. Kind of yar. Because, to be honest, the only thing that the next step for Iowa to get to are the 4 names that you just gave. That is the next step up for Iowa. That's how close they are. So, yes, you are asking for that. Because I doubt it. If I were to ask you, where you want Iowa, I doubt you would say, I just want one more Big Ten appearance, Big Ten title appearance. That's not what it sounds like to me. Now, for me, folks, that would be good. If in a 5-year period, if Iowa can make the Big Ten title 2 times, I'm good. That's, in my opinion, that is more than meeting expectations. All right. And at the end of every one of these stories, I can't help but ask myself if I really believe that this is the only person that can win 8 games consistently at Iowa. Okay. Since 2015, Iowa has won 12 games, 8, 9, 10, and then they went 6-2, which was the equivalent of a 9-3 seed. What a dork. All right. And let's finish this. Do I really believe that the minute Kirk hangs him up, we're doomed to Illinois levels of basement dwelling forever and ever? Amen? Yeah, that's a possibility, dude. I'm telling you, that is a real possibility. Because when Kirk Ferentz decides to hang it up, Iowa is not Penn State. It's not, it's not Ohio State. Illinois, the state of Illinois, listen, and I've told you this before, Dean, Illinois, in my opinion, is probably one of the best places to win in the Big Ten. The state has great talent. It's right next to Missouri. And Illinois is a decent academic school, but not the best. It's decent, but it doesn't have the same standards as Northwestern. The point that I'm making is that, yes, Kirk Ferentz is worth what he's getting paid. Because the reality is, if you look across the Big Ten, there are many situations that are better than Iowa, and they are struggling. The last thing he says, and then I'll turn it over to you, Dean, on what you think. He goes, I realize that it's all happened under Kirk Ferentz. I'm not calling for his job or resignation. I am demanding for things to be better under #NewKirk. See, that's the problem, is that he's looking at everything through a Twitter lens, and that's not real life. I'll continue to hoist up this program and protect them from the nasty naysayers like Colin Cowherd. Dang, dude, you have a crush on Cowherd. And other shock jocks that exist out in the content creating, but I'm not going to keep on pretending that my arms aren't sore at the end of every season as I take stock of where we started and where we finished. I think that this is a very average, normal Iowa fan response. Don't you, Dean? What this guy has basically said.
It's definitely, I'm not going to say a normal Iowa fan response, but it's definitely, there are many people who are not afraid to go online and on social media and say exactly what he just said. Except they went one step further. They're actually calling for Kirk Ferentz's job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've seen it even on the 247 Hawkeye page. We get a bunch of people on there every time they go, they lose or something that, coach needs to be fired. The
Yeah.
players aren't any good. We're not making any headway. We need to win more Big Ten titles. I agree. We need to win more Big Ten titles. We definitely do. I have no doubt in my mind. I think we should do more with what we got.
Yeah.
What we have done. I'm not disagreeing with you guys, but firing the coach, no, that's not the answer. I mean, and even though this writer said that Iowa's not in any danger of falling to the cellar.
Well, yeah, cellar.
It's very possible they could have. When Hayden Fry left in Kirk's first year, they were a cellar dweller.
Great point.
I don't think they won but one game the entire year, or maybe they didn't win any. I don't remember. So it's possible that, like when Hayden Fry, being sick the last year and he wasn't recruiting as hard and people were recruiting against him because his fellow coaches knew that he was on the way out the door.
Yeah.
And they're going to, they recruited against him. Now they're going to start doing that with Kirk pretty quick.
Yeah.
Kirk has said he'd be around for 4 or 5 more years, but pretty soon they're going to start saying, hey, Kirk's not going to be there to see the end of your career. He's out, man. Which is why I think Iowa needs to get a coach in waiting really quick, like Ohio State did when Urban Meyer was ready to leave. They had Ryan Day and the wings ready to go.
We need to talk about what you just said there.
Okay.
Because I haven't thought about what I agree with everything you just said. At the end of the day, here's my problem with what that guy said. He says that he doesn't want Kirk fired. He says that he doesn't that he's not asking Iowa to be Ohio State, Alabama, or Clemson, but he is. Okay. Iowa, for me, I don't really look at other programs. I just look at what I think would be possible and acceptable. And for me, what is possible and acceptable for Iowa, the next step up for them is being more consistent in the Big Ten championship. Out of every 5 years, they make it 2 times, maybe more. Okay. And I think and that's how I see it. That is a realistic expectation right there. Okay. You said a coach in waiting. And I haven't thought about that. But I think that's an excellent idea. I think it would be an excellent idea. And I don't know if Iowa would name who it's going to be. I don't know that. But I think it would be a good idea to say, hey, right now, if I were to leave, this is who it'd be. The only problem I see with that is that some of the coaches would be like, well, why am I even here if I can't get the head coaching job? You know what I mean, Dean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's an excellent idea, is to have a coach in waiting and grooming the person to be ready. Now, at the same time, you could not tell the person and still groom them to be, the head coach. I think it's a great idea, Dean. If Iowa were to pick one guy right now, who do you think it would be?
Oh, golly. I can tell you who I would like it to be. I would love it to be Phil Parker. Yeah, I just think Phil Parker brings so much more to this team than people realize. He's been around forever, but unfortunately, he's not interested in head coaching, but maybe he would head coach at Iowa if we know Kirk's going to step away pretty soon and he's going to leave on his own terms. We know that Kirk's days are numbered. He's only got like 4 or 5 more years left. Okay. At the most. Yeah. And he's going to go. Okay. So, does Phil Parker want to take over when Phil Parker's like 1 million years old too? Cause he's going to be pretty old too, Well, I no longer think it's Brian Ferentz. If it is, he needs to go now and get some head coaching experience in the MAC or something like that.
Some smaller school. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Brian Ferentz, because he is the son, he needs to show without a shadow of a doubt that he is the guy. And I don't think that he has done enough yet. Now, if he were to keep Iowa on the trajectory that they are at offensively, maybe. But I agree with you there. Mm-hmm. You know what, Dean? I used to not see Phil Parker as an option at all, but I can see it now. I don't know the difference in age, but I could see Kirk stepping away and saying, "Hey, because all you did for me, you're going to get the reins for a couple of years as like a bridge guy or a gap guy until, they gave it to someone else." I think that would be excellent if they gave it to Phil Parker as a bridge guy until the new long-term option appeared.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That wouldn't be so bad.
It's one way to assure the coaches that some of the staff is still going to be around, or
Yes.
most of the staff will still be around when you graduate. The only thing is we'll have a new head coach who's already on staff, who's going to continue doing what we do. And,
right.
and the other head coach is just going to step away and retire and retire, because honestly, Kirk's old. He's older than I am, and he's not retired yet. He just loves coaching. So, I love his enthusiasm, because anybody who's still coaching at the age of 65 or 66, whatever Kirk is now, he obviously has a passion, because he has no desire to retire right away. And that's what I love about this guy, because he may come out and be calm on the news media when we see him on press conferences and stuff, but that guy, you could guarantee he's got some fire in him. He does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the guy played O-line. He no doubt. Folks, I'm going to put this out there right now. I think that Phil Parker would be an excellent option as a bridge guy for the next long-term option for Iowa coaching. I think that is an excellent idea, quite frankly. Wow. I can't believe I hadn't thought of that before. Maybe it's not as good of an idea that I'm thinking right now. All right. By the way, folks.
Wait a minute. I want to know, if you weren't thinking Phil Parker, who were you thinking?
Well, honestly, Tim Polasek is high on my list. He has a lot of experience. Mm-hmm. I would say the top two guys would probably be Tim Polasek and LeVar Woods. Those would be my top two guys right now. I think LeVar Woods absolutely could take over and do a good job. I don't know if his ceiling as a coach is high. The way my brain works, I can see all of them doing a good job, And
now, if we
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if we went outside the program and wanted a fresh start and just clean house, I'd go with Chris Ash.
Where does he coach?
He's at Kansas State.
I agree. I would take a North Dakota State coach I agree 100% with that. Now, could Iowa land Chris Ash? Probably. I think so. I think they could.
With the right amount of money, because you know what? He's an Iowa boy from Waterloo, Iowa, Columbus High.
I did not know that. Let's look up how old Chris Ash is, because to be honest, he seems like the option. And I've said Chris Ash before. I've said
he's a pretty young man.
No. He's at Rutgers, Dean.
Is he at Rutgers?
Yeah, he coached at Rutgers. He is from Iowa, though.
Okay, I might have the wrong name then. Who was the North Dakota? Who's at Kansas State right now?
Yeah, I would not take Chris Ash. Let me look.
No. I want the Kansas State coach, whoever that is. We got to find out who he is.
It is Chris
Kleiman. Yeah. Got it.
I think Kleiman would be an excellent choice. He's from Iowa. You're right. He's from Waterloo, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. He's 53 years old, so he's a little bit younger. I like that. I think Chris Ash would be excellent, and I think Iowa could land him. Iowa is a step up from Kansas State.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. A little quick story here.
Talk to me.
My grandson and I went to the North Dakota State game that we lost. Chris Kleiman was coaching, And on the way home, we were listening to the post game in his interviews. I was so impressed with his thinking and how he knew he could beat Iowa. He goes,
Yeah.
a lot of schools like us would come in and say, we'll tell you that we think we can win. No, I'm going to tell you, we knew we would win this game.
Yeah.
He goes, I watched film of Iowa and I know exactly what they're going to do and how we're going to attack it. And he was right. I mean, we led that entire game until they hit that field goal at the end of the game to win it. And I'll tell you, well, that was such a heart-sinking thing to sit there in the stands and hoping that guy misses the field goal and then he hits it for the game winner. But honestly, that's when I told my grandson, I go, he needs to be Iowa's next head coach.
I think, listen, Dean, I think that is an excellent choice. I really do. I really do. I think Chris Kleiman is an excellent choice. So that's probably who I would have, Chris Kleiman. And, from Iowa guys, I'd probably have LeVar Woods and Tim Polasek because with Tim Polasek, he's been OC at North Dakota State, O-line coach at Iowa, OC at Wyoming. He has a good resume. Anyways, real quick, folks, again, go to 247hawkeye.com. If you want to support us, I'll put the link in the description for the donation. And then also the best place to find me and Dean is on Facebook, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony, and then Dean Freen, and then YouTube, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony. All right, Dean. It is time to rank the Big Ten programs when it comes to prestige. And what I mean when I say prestige is basically if you were, all things being equal, you were a recruit, and how much would each offer mean to you? How big would it be based off of each offer? Now, obviously, you can look at it in different ways, and prestige, you know where that comes from? It comes from NCAA, EA Sports, NCAA football. They always have prestige up there, and I like that idea of prestige. So, all right, Dean, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do the Big Ten West, and then the Big Ten East, and then I'll do my top 5 in the Big Ten.
Okay. All right.
All right. Big Ten West. Starting at the bottom, I would go Purdue. Okay. I would put Purdue as the least prestigious program in the Big Ten West. Next, I would put Illinois right now, second to last. I would then put Minnesota. Okay. Listen, folks, Minnesota has not capitalized on the good situation that they have. Minnesota is the only Power 5 school in the state of Minnesota. They have not capitalized on what they have. Last year, they have Tanner Morgan, and they go 3-4. Okay, so Minnesota is next. I would put Nebraska above Minnesota. And here's why Nebraska is not higher, okay? Because right now, I think that with some people, when they look at Nebraska, they see Nebraska for what it is right now, which is a dumpster fire. However, other people see the program at such an elite high level that it brings up the expectations. Even if it's unrealistic, it brings up the expectation. But if I were a recruit and I receive it, and I were to put in the importance of each offer, Dean, Nebraska would probably be, it would be the third best in the Big Ten West. And Nebraska fans won't like that. But listen, folks, since 2010, y'all have sucked. You're not good. And, that doesn't take away from your prestige in the past. But I think in the Midwest, where people are more familiar with Nebraska as opposed to out here in California, because randomly Nebraska lands kids from California, in the Midwest, kids are familiar with Nebraska. And I'll give you an example of why Nebraska is not higher. The top 4 guys from the state in 2022 are not going to choose Nebraska. They're not going to choose Nebraska. That is a huge watermark on the prestige of Nebraska. And quite frankly, the 2021 class, the fact that Iowa was able to come in and snag Keegan Johnson. We're not talking tight end. We're not talking offensive line. We're not talking defense. We're talking wide receiver, where Iowa has been average at best and just recently is okay. They snagged a 4-star wide receiver out of Nebraska. So that's why they're third. I think Iowa and Wisconsin are closer than a lot of people think. Because Iowa has been good for 40 years, and Wisconsin, for some of those years, was not good, recency bias for a good amount of people put Wisconsin ahead. But I'll be honest, if I were a recruit, and I know I'm biased, if I were a recruit, I would probably put, I'm forgetting about Northwestern. I'll get to them. If I were a recruit, Iowa and Wisconsin would be about equal. It would both be very important to me. Northwestern, by the way, that's tough. Nebraska is third. Northwestern would be after Illinois. So it'd go Illinois, or it'd go Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, then Nebraska. I would, Dean, honestly, man, this is tough, because if I put Iowa, it seems like I'm stupid biased. You know what, folks? I don't care. I'm going to put Wisconsin second and Iowa first, and here's why. Because Iowa for 40 plus years has been a good football program, and I think that's enough. And if you choose me saying that, I don't think is crazy absurd, because they are really, really, really close to each other. They're mirror images of each other. And I'll give you another example of why I have Iowa ahead of Wisconsin. Barry Alvarez came from Iowa. So Wisconsin got prestige from Iowa. That's why I have them one. All right, let's go to East. In the East, I would go Maryland, I would go Rutgers last. I would go Michigan State next, Dean. And it's sad because Michigan State has not capitalized on the 2 back-to-back solid coaches, Mark D'Antonio and Nick Saban. They have not capitalized on it, Dean. To be honest, Michigan State at one point was ahead of Michigan. When guys would get offers, Michigan State was considered a better offer than Michigan. But right now, I would put Michigan State second to last. I'd put Maryland next, and then I would put Michigan, Indiana, then Michigan, then Penn State, and then Ohio State. So in order: Ohio State, followed by Penn State, followed by Michigan, followed by Indiana, Maryland, Michigan State, Rutgers. My top 5 here, and then I'll turn it over to Dean. Ohio State is the cream of the crop, folks. Plain and simple. They are the cream of the crop. Ohio State would be 1. 2, I'd go Penn State. 3, I would probably still go Michigan. 4, I'd go Iowa. 5, I'd go Wisconsin. Okay, Dean, you're up, buddy.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to go as deep as you did, but I'm going to say
Okay.
I do have a little bit of a disagreement with you, because
Talk
you're
to
talking
me.
about prestige and what recruits think and what they see.
Yeah.
I think recruits look on the West. They would look at Wisconsin first,
Ooh, okay.
then Iowa, and then Northwestern. I think Northwestern is definitely a top 3 team in the West.
So you put Northwestern's prestige ahead of Nebraska. I don't have a complaint with that. And I don't disagree that bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. In the last 20, 25 years, Northwestern has been a relevant team. They've had their off years. I mean, unlike Iowa, Iowa's had some off years, but their off years are like 7-4, 7-5.
Right.
Northwestern's off years have been completely total losing seasons, and you never know which season you're going to get that. But when they win, they win. Okay.
True.
Okay. So we're just going to leave that. The rest of them can fall where they want to. Going on the East, I'm going to have to go with Ohio State first, Penn State second, Michigan third, and Indiana fourth. I was between Indiana and Michigan State. Now I still think, even though Michigan State has suffered the last 2 seasons, they've had a lousy season the last 2 years, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I still think they carry a little cloud on the recruiting trail. I really do. And that's how I'm approaching it. How much clout did they carry on the recruiting trail? And right now, Indiana's carrying some clout because right now they're the latest. They're the latest to hit the new name.
Yeah, Indiana is sexy right now. Indiana's
that's perfect. Team. That's the perfect thing. Sexy. Okay. I don't think we're far off on our top 5 though. Ohio State, Penn State. It's between Wisconsin and Michigan for the next one. And they can flip-flop those, and then Iowa. Yeah,
Dean, I think Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa are right next to each other in different ways. Michigan has the longevity. Iowa has the jerseys, the wave, been a solid team. Wisconsin has been really good the last 10 years. So, for me, looking at the prestige, and the clout, the teams that are the most interesting to me are Michigan State and Nebraska, because Nebraska is such a big name. But like I said, in the Midwest, people who are closer to the program, the name has dropped considerably. Michigan State has not taken advantage of having 2 back-to-back Hall of Fame type coaches. So, which is pretty incredible, Dean. If you think about it, I mean, the chances of getting a Nick Saban and then Mark D'Antonio are very low. Michigan State has not upped the ante on the facilities. There's just nothing attractive about their program. Honestly, their program kind of seems old. It seems older than Iowa's, which is crazy. So when I look at prestige and I look at clout, it's all very interesting to me. All right, folks. So that's my list there. We might get to our top 5 running backs. I don't know. We're already on 1 hour and 30 minutes. But I do want to talk. Yeah. Dean's got to get going here.
I got to get going. So either you'll have to finish it yourself, or we can push this off to the next podcast.
Did you say 8:15?
No, I got to be out of here by 8:10, but I still got to get ready.
Real quick, my synopsis on the recruiting.
Okay.
I am somewhat, and we talked about this last night. I am somewhat concerned with Iowa's recruiting. Concerned is just for this example is less than worried. Worried is like I'm panicking. Folks, I just don't think that Iowa has taken advantage of back-to-back top 15 finishes, 3 top 25 finishes. The coaching staff is solid. They have a bunch of guys in the NFL. And the fact they lost to Iowa State for 2 linebackers bothers me. It does. It bothers me. I don't care if Iowa State is a sexy team this year. And by the way, looking at Iowa State's team, and I may get in on this a different time, but I'll just say this right now. Besides the quarterback and the running back, I don't see where all this talent is. I don't see it. Top 5 in the country? Are you joking? Anyways, Dean, I am concerned. And the momentum ever since the allegations came out, and I'm not saying that the allegations are why the momentum has stopped, but the momentum has considerably slowed down, and I'm concerned. I am concerned. Now, Iowa has a top 150 player, a high 4-star in Aaron Graves, and a nice 3-star in Caden something. I'm blanking on his last name. It is what it is. But Dean, listen, I'm concerned because in my eyes, Iowa should be putting a stamp next to 3 solid seasons. And I think it's going to be hard for them to finish top 35 in recruiting this year. I really do. Are you concerned, Dean?
I'm somewhat concerned.
Yeah.
But not
worried, not panicking.
Not worried, because we've only got 2 recruits. And here's a couple things. Campus visits start June 1st.
Yeah.
Iowa has their camp on June 6th. And you know that every recruit that they want is invited to that camp.
Yes.
Okay. This is the time for them to show these recruits that we need them. I wouldn't be surprised if the month of June we were heavy on commitments, almost like every day a new commitment popping up. That wouldn't surprise me. If it doesn't happen, then we need to start worrying.
Excellent take. I agree with you. Here are the guys that Iowa is in on that are high. I'll just say this, the top 3 guys, Carson Hinsman out of Wisconsin. I think Iowa has a great chance for him. Hunter Deo, defensive tackle out of Iowa. I think Iowa will land him. Xavier Nwankpa. I think Iowa has an excellent shot to land him. I really do. I think if Phil Parker goes in hard for Xavier, I think Iowa can land him. And the fact of the matter is, Iowa, Dean, didn't even take a defensive back in last year's class. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Until I looked at the thing. I was like, wow. Iowa will definitely take a couple of DBs in this class, but I don't think they'll take more than 3. And thinking about Xavier Nwankpa and Cooper DeJean playing safety right next to each other is just amazing. That'd be awesome. I think that would be. DeJean is going to be incredible, Dean. I really do. So, all right, buddy, that's it. Do you have any last synopsis before we back out of here?
Yeah. Man, I didn't get their names, but I just want to say
the defensive tackles, yeah.
Yeah, the 2 defensive tackles that Iowa lost out on the transfer portal. It says more that I think that they were actually actively going after these guys. Tells me that they're not happy with the defensive tackles they got right now. Maybe they figure they need another year of work, and they wanted to get a stopgap in there. So yeah. That's just it. I mean, we lost out on both of them. I forget their names. One of them committed to Auburn, which Auburn's not if you're going to lose to somebody, lose to Auburn.
Yeah. So but, you're slightly concerned that Iowa. You're concerned about the defensive tackle group, and you're concerned on the recruiting front.
Correct. I'm slightly concerned on the recruiting front because, like I said, it's early yet. Although, let me go down this list real quick. Illinois has 8 commits. Maryland has 9. Michigan has 7. Rutgers has 11. OSU has 12, and Penn State has 10, and we have 2.
Yeah.
And
usually Iowa is the guy or the team with a lot of recruits and early commits compared to the other teams. That's usually how it goes. I'm not as concerned as Dean is with the defensive tackle. I think they were just trying to bolster their defensive tackle, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I agree with that. It sucks that Iowa swung and missed at the defensive tackle position. But I do think that Kelvin Bell's doing a good job. They got a lot of depth there. The last thing I'll say, I think Iowa is a consensus top 15 team. And what's incredible to me is that when it comes to the fan base, I don't sense a lot of excitement. And this is as good as a team that Iowa has had in a long time.
Yeah.
Folks, you should be stoked on this Iowa team. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I agree.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I agree. They're going to do better than most people think. It's going to come down to, beating Wisconsin, beating Northwestern, beating Minnesota.
Yeah.
But, of course, it means beating everybody, but those are the games that would probably give us the biggest fits next year.
Right.
I'm not even worried about Iowa State. If we lose to Iowa State, it ain't going to cost us
cares?
the Big Ten West title.
I
want to beat them. I just want to beat them to keep the streak going and still have bragging rights. So I don't have to listen to Iowa State fans for a whole year. But in all reality, if we lose to them, we lose to a pretty good, decent team, and it doesn't cost us our standings. I would rather get Indiana. If someone tells me we're going to go 1-1 to start the season, I want Indiana over Iowa State.
Totally agree there, Dean. I totally agree. You got to have a victory in conference. Again, I'll say it again, folks. As somebody that pays attention to on this angle, I'm okay that Iowa is not as hyped up because, I don't know that Iowa plays better when they're not hyped up, but I'm okay with them sliding under the bus. But on the other angle, I am shocked that there's not more momentum on this Iowa team. And I'm telling you, right now, they are a sexy team in the top 15. And, for good reason, folks. When I looked at their roster, the secondary, solid. Linebacking group, solid. Defensive line, there's questions, but still solid. Wide receiver, solid. The whole 9 yards. There's not an issue. The biggest issue is offensive line, and I feel good about that. Point is, Iowa looks good, very, very good, and it is surprising to me that they are not more popular going, especially with Iowa fans going into the season, but we shall see. Dean, thank you so much for hanging with me, as always. Folks, thank you so much for listening to the NHA podcast. I hope you enjoyed the new camera, the new mic, and all of that jazz. We're so grateful for the love and support that you guys show to the show. This, most of it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with you guys. And for that, we are grateful. Be sure to share. Because at the end of the day, a like means nothing. All a like does is shows me that you like the show. But the thing that matters is sharing it and re-getting it out there. I heard Pat McAfee say that, and I totally agree with that. Sharing actually means something. Liking, not as much. But if you want to just like the show, that's fine. Anyways, we are so grateful. Thank you so much. Dean, any last thing before we get out of here?
Oh yeah, I'll just say it. Guys, share it. Thank you for listening to us. We do have some former ex-Hawkeyes, both football, wrestling on here, basketball, who follow us. And so share if you know some ex-Hawkeyes, share it with them. They might like us too. Because that would go a long ways in helping us, knowing that the ex-players are listening and watching and reading.
Again, folks, thank you so much. Be sure to go to 247hawkeye.com. The best place to find me and Dean is Facebook, Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony, and then Dean Frayne. And then follow our YouTube channel, Nolan, Hawkeye, Anthony. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, DBAP, don't be a pussy, Willow. Facts or feelings here. Feelings don't matter. Love y'all. Go Hawks.
Bye.
Bye.